Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to another weekly What's for Dinner. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Stephanie and I love sharing with you delicious and new recipes that I've made for my family throughout the week. If you're not subscribed yet to my channel, I would love to have you. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on more videos just like this one. So today I have 3 great new recipes to share with you. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So we are going to start this off with my favorite recipe this week, chicken Alfredo lasagna roll-up. So this one was a hit with my family. Even my mom tried it and loved it, and it's super easy to make. You're going to need 3 cups of cooked shredded chicken, 16 ounces or 475 grams of ricotta cheese, 2 cups of shredded mozzarella cheese, 1 cup of shredded Parmesan cheese, and 1.5 cups of jarred Alfredo sauce. Now you can go ahead and make your own sauce if you want, but I needed something quick and it still turned out amazing. For spices, you're going to need 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, 1 teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of onion powder, and then half a teaspoon of garlic powder. Now you're also going to need about 10 lasagna noodles. Now I didn't realize that these were the oven ready ones, and I need them cooked to be able to roll them up. So I was a little bit scared that they would end up too mushy in the oven if I boiled them beforehand. So I did what any desperate person would do and I Googled it. It said it was fine to just boil them for 3 to 5 minutes, just enough so that the lasagna sheets become more pliable. So that's what I did and it turned out perfectly. Okay, so now that we have all of our ingredients, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to do is cook the noodles. And while the noodles are cooking, I'm going to get started on the stuffing. In a large bowl, I'm going to mix together my chicken, the ricotta cheese, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and half a teaspoon of onion powder. And then I'm just going to mix it all up. So now my noodles are cooked, so I'm going to preheat my oven to 350, get the oven nice and hot while I work on my roll-ups. But before I do that, I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of Alfredo sauce to the bottom of a 9x13 baking dish. Then I'm going to grab a lasagna noodle and I'm going to lay it flat on my counter, and I'm going to start adding the chicken mixture. And you'll want to leave about 1/3 of the noodle uncovered. Now the recipe says to add about 3 ounces of the mixture, but I'm just going to eyeball it. Then I'm going to top this up with 1 to 2 tablespoons of the Alfredo sauce. Now I think I may have put too much because it did make a mess while I rolled it up. And I did end up having to open a second jar of sauce, as you will see later in the video. Now that I'm done adding up my mixture and my sauce, I'm going to roll it up, and you want to roll it towards the bare end of the noodle. Okay, so now I'm going to place this in my casserole dish and just keep going until I've filled up all of my noodles. So now that I'm done rolling up all of my noodles, I'm going to pour the rest of the Alfredo sauce over the roll-ups. And this is where I ran out of sauce and had to open a second jar. I'm then going to top this off with the mozzarella cheese and the Parmesan cheese, and then I'm going to cover it up with some aluminum foil and bake it in the oven for about 20 minutes. And then after about 20 minutes, I'm going to remove the aluminum foil and then put it back in the oven for another 10 minutes or so until the cheese has completely melted. So here it is right out of the oven, and I really wish you could have smelled it because as it was baking, it smelled so good. So tonight I'm having this with a side of broccoli. You're probably going to see broccoli often with my meals because I do love it, and I also try to incorporate veggies with every meal. I don't always do it, but I do try to. This recipe also works great as a freezer meal. Just double the recipe, portion them out into servings, and then freeze them for a quick dinner one night. This was really good, definitely my favorite of the week. Lots of flavor in this one and definitely a keeper. Let me know in the comments down below if you decide to make it. The next recipe I have for you guys this week is a Velveeta down-home macaroni and cheese. I'm always trying to find new recipes that my entire family will enjoy because let's face it, when you have children, there's almost always one child or two who will not want to have what's on the dinner table. My entire family loved this recipe and it's super easy to make. So the first thing you're going to need is 8 ounces of Velveeta. Now here in Canada, we do grams instead of ounces. So here I have 450 grams, which would be roughly 16 ounces. So I only really need half of this for this recipe, but I love more cheese in mine, so I'm going to be adding about 3/4 of this block of Velveeta. And also you want to cut it into cubes as this will make it melt faster. Then you're also going to need 1 cup of flour, 1/4 cup of butter or margarine, 1/2 cup of shredded cheddar cheese. You're going to need about 2 cups of elbow macaroni. And then you're also going to need milk. I'm not showing it here because I want to keep it in the fridge until I need it, but you're going to need 1 cup of milk. And then lastly, you're going to need some Ritz crackers, and you're going to be using about 1/2 cup of crushed Ritz crackers. So I'm going to start off by cooking my pasta, and while that is cooking, I'm going to preheat my oven to 350, and then I'm going to get started on my cheese sauce. I'm going to start by making a roux. This is going to be my thickening agent and will make the sauce smooth and creamy. Okay, so here's where I'm going to be using the 1/4 cup of butter. I'm going to add this to a medium saucepan and melt it over medium heat. Okay, so now that the butter is melted, I'm going to whisk in my flour. So that's 1/4 cup of flour, and I'm going to cook this for about 2 minutes. You want to cook the flour a little bit because this will remove the raw taste that flour tends to have, and it's also going to give your sauce a better flavor. I'm also going to make sure to stir this constantly or else it will stick. So after about 2 minutes, I'm going to add in the 1 cup of milk, and I'm not going to add it all at once. I'm going to do it gradually, and this will prevent the flour from forming lumps. Then once all of the milk is poured in, I'm going to bring this to a boil, and I'm going to cook this for about 3 to 5 minutes until the sauce thickens. And again, you want to make sure to stir this constantly. So as you can see, the sauce has thickened up nicely. So now I'm going to add in my Velveeta and cook this until it's completely melted. And again, I'm going to be stirring this constantly so it doesn't stick and burn. And it does stick, so you want to scrape the bottom of the pan often as well. All right, so my cheese sauce is done. As you can see, it's very smooth and creamy. So now I'm going to stir in my macaroni. Then I'm going to transfer this into a greased 7x11 baking dish and then sprinkle the cheddar cheese on top. Now here I've melted about 2 tablespoons of butter in the microwave, and I'm going to add in about 1/2 cup of crushed Ritz crackers, and I'm going to mix it all together. And this is going to be your topping. So I'm just going to sprinkle this on top of the mac and cheese. And now I'm going to pop this in the oven and bake this for about 20 minutes or until heated through. It all depends on your oven, so just make sure to keep an eye on it. Here it is right out of the oven. It's creamy and delicious. It's also easy to make and kid-friendly. Definitely great comfort food. I just made this with some chicken wings and a side of green beans, and my family loved it. So I'll most definitely be making this one again. So the last recipe I have for you this week is a chicken zucchini casserole. So I got this recipe from Six Sisters, and I will have the link in the description box below. I just love anything with zucchinis, and this looked really good, so I knew I had to try it, and I'm really glad I did. I'll be honest though, the kids weren't a big fan of it, but I really liked it and Daniel did too. So for this recipe, you're going to need 4 medium zucchinis diced. Now I ended up only using 3 of them because I thought it was plenty, but you can go ahead and use 4 if you want. Mine seemed to be a bit on the bigger side, so that's probably why. And then you're also going to need half an onion diced. Now my onion is pretty small, so I did end up using the entire thing. You're going to need half a cup of melted butter, 1 can of cream of chicken, 1 package of chicken stuffing mix, and you're also going to need half a cup of sour cream. And then lastly, you're going to need 3 cooked boneless, skinless chicken breasts cut into cubes. So for the chicken, mine were pretty big, so I only ended up using 2 breasts instead of 3. And I boiled them with some chicken broth, and then I also added an onion and some salt and pepper to give it more flavor. And I boiled them for about 20 to 25 minutes until the internal temperature was 165. The time for the chicken all depends on the size of your chicken. I would check on them after 10 to 15 minutes. And then if they need to cook longer, I would add only 5 minutes before checking on them again, because chicken, when it's overcooked, will become rubbery and you don't want that. So now that we've got all of our ingredients, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm gonna do is cut up my zucchinis. I love making casseroles because you can make this ahead of time and they make for great leftovers. Let me know in the comments down below what is your favorite casserole to make. I'm going to set this aside and then get started on the onion. So now in a large bowl, I'm going to add the stuffing mix and the melted butter. So I just melted the butter for a few seconds in the microwave. And I'm just gonna let this sit for a little bit so that the stuffing mixture can absorb the butter and become a little bit soft. And then I'm going to grab half a cup of the mixture and I'm going to set that aside for toppings later. So now I'm gonna go ahead and add in my zucchinis, my cooked chicken, the onion, I'm gonna add in the cream of chicken soup and the sour cream. Now I'm just going to mix it all together, make sure it's well combined, and I'm going to transfer this into a greased 9 by 13 inch baking dish. Alright, so now the only thing that's left is to add the rest of the stuffing mix that we had set aside earlier. And I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle this on top. And now I'm just going to bake this in the oven, uncovered, for about 40 to 50 minutes until cooked and the top is golden brown. I think this is a really great recipe for summertime. It's quick and it could be adjusted with many different kind of veggies. And because of the stuffing mix and the cream of chicken, it was very flavorful. It's definitely a keeper for sure. Alright you guys, so that is it for this week's What's for Dinner. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up as it really helps my channel grow. And also don't forget to subscribe. I would love to have you be a part of my YouTube family. And I hope you guys are doing well. And as always, I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.